Hello, today I'll be talking to you about how to improve your project from state to internationals. My name is Anna Pierce and I'm from Harvard DECA. I've made 2 international business plans and qualified for internationals twice, as well as placed in the top 10 at ICDC. My Instagram is Anna_Pierce_ and my email is perkanna@HUHS. Feel free to reach out with any questions you might have and I'd love to help however I can. Tweaking your visual should be your #1 priority because it takes a really long time. So this needs to be done. This needs to be priority #1, especially if you need to get your board reprinted. So first, look at your grading rubric and check to see if there's anything that you don't have covered on your board, because especially for presentations, you want to just be able to see what you have so they can score you. So a strategy that we use personally is we create a handout to give to the judges with the different categories that are on the scoring rubric, and then bullet points under each one with our answers to them. So that way when we leave, the judge remembers our answers as well. So that way when they score us on the categories, they know that we hit every point. Next, look at your feedback from state. Chances are there's a section that you didn't reach your full points on, so make sure you focus on that in your project, as well as make sure it's put out clearly on your board so the judge can see that you did it. And then finally, creating a cohesive color scheme between every part of your project is extremely important. You want to carry out this color scheme from board to paper to visual or anything else like handout later. And then this just makes it look like one uniform project, which can be really helpful. Utilizing judge feedback is an essential way to help improve your project. But first, remember not to take any of this criticism personally, as they're just trying to help you, because they want to see you and Wisconsin win at internationals just like you do. So the first thing to look at is any specific critiques they had in your project. Was there a section that they were confused on in the paper, or something in your presentation that did not flow right for them? Look into that first. Next, look to see where any points were docked on your rubric, and see if there's a way you can help make that section either easier to read by adding a chart, or add some more explanation so the judge understands what you were trying to say there. Just remember, some of these sections may have been overlooked by you because you're the expert, but these judges have just read your project for the first time, so make sure everything is easy for them to understand. Finally, remember that this is your project, so if there's something that you don't think would make your project better that they asked about, you don't have to make it. It is your project, so do what you think is going to be best. Your presentation is a vital aspect of preparing for ICDC. The first step, like for everything, is to look at the rubric to make sure you hit every point so you get the score you deserve. And if you don't, this is a good part to edit your presentation to make sure you get all of these points that you deserve. Next, go through your project, and if there's a part that people are getting confused about when they read through it, but you're having trouble trying to edit it so it's more understandable and less convoluted, make sure you talk about it in your project, because this can be a great way to help explain it in another way so your judge understands your project as a whole in all aspects, so that when they score it, you're getting a good amount of points, because if they have misunderstandings about what your project is or anything like that, it can make it really difficult to score well. Next, think about something to set you apart from your competition. This could be a demonstration or something else that really makes your project interesting. So for instance, someone from my chapter at last year's DECA ICDC, they had a demonstration in which they used 2 different pipes filled with different liquids to show the differences between Now's data cooling system and his data cooling system, to show why his will work better. And this really worked well. I just really liked this, and he placed in the top 20 at ICDC last year. Next, work on your introduction and your conclusion to your presentation. So for your introduction, this is the first thing the judges are going to see from you, and you want to make sure that they're going to want to be listening to you, because they're going to be seeing a lot of projects that day when they're judging. So you want to make sure that they're really interested in what you're talking about, so your introduction needs to be really strong. Then your conclusion also needs to be strong, because this is what the judges are mostly going to remember about your presentation. Practicing your speech is very important to a successful project. So first, reach out to people who you think would be willing to listen to your project. This could be family, friends, and other DECA members. Have them look for errors in your speaking skills, as well as errors in content in your project. They can often catch things that you can't, because you're not listening to yourself. Next, record yourself saying your speech and look for errors in your presentation skills. Are there areas that don't flow? Are you having trouble making eye contact? Are you putting in a lot of filler words, which is something that I know I struggle with a lot when doing a presentation? Next, practicing your project if you're with a group, solo and in a group, is really important. By practicing solo, you can work on your own presentation and your little parts in the presentation to make sure that they flow well and they work well, so your presentation skills overall are good. But practicing with a group is extremely important because you need to make sure you know your cues on when you're supposed to speak, as well as your project looks cohesive and not like a bunch of mini separate individual presentations, which can look really unprofessional and kind of confusing. Finally, I would recommend trying to memorize your speech because note cards can look unprofessional, as well as having a memorized speech will set you apart from your competition, as some people do use note cards. The final step to a successful ICDC experience is preparing for your exam if you have one. You're only going to take a test if you're in the integrated marketing campaign events, and you'll be taking the marketing cluster exam. First, take as many practice tests as you can because these questions will often repeat and the content in them will stay the same throughout every test. So a personal tip I use is to copy and paste the questions I missed when I'm practicing into a Google document or a spreadsheet. So also correct answers. That way when I'm reviewing, I can review the questions I missed. Next, with the missed questions, I go through and look for vocab that I missed in them, which is why I got them wrong. And I use those to make flashcards or Quizlets that I can use for my own studying. Additionally, there are so many Quizlets out there made by other DECA students, which can work really well because everyone's studying for the same exam as you. So using these resources can really help you prepare. And then finally, I would reach out to your chapter advisor or other members to see what resources they have. For instance, our chapter has different Kahoots or Quizlet sets, Jeopardy games, stuff like that we have used in review sessions for a whole chapter that can be really fun to study with, as well as extremely helpful. Now, preparing for the test can be really tedious and not the most fun part of DECA, but it is really important and you're going to have big rewards if you score well on the test. Thank you so much for your time and good luck in preparing your project. I can't wait to see how you do at ICDC, and just remember that you made it to ICDC, which is so hard to do, so you already have a great project, so no matter how you place, be proud of yourself. Finally, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I would love to chat.